into the next.
I have a recommendation of a motion to table items A through C. The motion,
I'll make a motion to table consent items A through C.
a motion by Mr. Gonzalez, do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Mr. Portable, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Next item on the agenda, presentation, school district administration. Madam Superintendent.
Chairman. And these members of staff, I'm going to take a moment to introduce the administration that we have for the school year. This includes finance and all the district leadership. So that is great. A new position that has been merged and the programs assisting with HR, the operations of the district instructional program, supporting by that organization of any bonus, and that is Vanessa Garcia. Supporting my Christian education, she has been serving in the district for many years now, and her this position as well. Martinez. That is I just do for continuing the application. Is remaining in the position of maintenance. As our leaders elementary, we have an environmental leader with a new principal. And continue as we are considered the principal. And for everyone, we have is our local continue principal. We have Mr. Mario continue security. Next 3 years, she is the director, rules are Katie Wells. So again, he was involved in the two sessions. We were getting the ground running. I'm very confident that Steve has speak on that.
So I'd like to say thank you and welcome, and for the new employees, and we as a board look forward to the upcoming year. There's a lot of great things, so look forward to it. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item B, transportation update. Ms. Sue.
Good evening. Madam Superintendent, members of the board, esteemed colleagues and public. The mission of the transportation services is to provide a valuable service for our customers as efficiently, effectively, and safely as possible. So what I wanted to do now in June, which of course I did last year in July, since a lot of you guys are new, I took the time just to give a quick overview of the department, and I'd like to do so again. So some fast back summer routes and activities. This current year, we had 19 routes, and out of those, contractors had 6 of those routes, and the rest were in-house. Number of athletic and activity trips, 408. Passengers transported, over 158,000. Annual miles driven, over 230,000. Team highlights. I have 22 route and activity drivers, 4 bus aides, 1 mechanic, and 1 office assistant. I would like to give a shout out to my driver, Ivan here, who became an SBDI instructor, so he can train bus drivers the same that I can. So that's really important to have that in-house, that way we can team teach, which is really nice. That was part of my 5-year plan. And just to let you know, I am wrapping up my 6th year as a supervisor in transportation. Our kudos to our Las Vegas City School mechanic, Chris Yardman. He is now a certified state school bus inspector. So that puts him on the next level, and he just got that last week, I believe. And there's very few in the state, only about 12 to 15 that are actually certified school bus inspectors, and those have to be done with school bus inspections twice a year. And just to let you know, our semi-annual bus inspections, once again, we passed with no red flags. And I attribute that to Chris. We have 1 retiree, James Chandler. I believe he served 25 years with the district. And we will miss him and his fun jokes. And if any of you guys know him, you guys know he has a good sense of humor. So some accomplishments we did this year, with the assistance of Ms. Gonzalez and Superintendent Sample. We implemented our routing and activity software for better efficiency. We've never had routing software. We always did rock and chisel, and we're trying to move into the next century. In-house, I trained 3 employees for driving school buses with their Class B CDL. And all mechanical issues were handled in-house by our Las Vegas City School mechanic, Chris Gardner. Nothing was outsourced this year. A vehicle contract was created and implemented, and what this is we never had a contract. So if somebody needs, Mr. Chris Archuleta has a vehicle checked out to him, he actually has a signed contract he needs to follow, and that was something that had never been done. And we went ahead and did that and implemented, so we know which vehicle is actually checked out to who is responsible for keys. And I do want to make this an annual event that I will soon be picking on everybody to say, okay, you guys have a vehicle checked out to you. I need your contract signed because it's almost the end of this year, just for better handle on who does what. And I think that it eliminates a lot of problems because I have stuff in writing. Looking ahead at this next year. So one thing is our Head Start students will not be on our buses no longer. And that was a directive that came down from Mr. Mays, the Head Start director. And he said it was unfair to us to be transporting Head Start students when West Las Vegas did not transport Head Start students. And that's beneficial for us because our little 3- and 4-year-olds are on the bus for at least half an hour by the time we pick up middle and high school, tends to lead to a lot of behavioral problems. Another kids. I have looked to expand the route back to Watros. I do have 5 students in Watros and 1 more kindergartner that I don't know his name, but I do know that those 6 kids, the parents have verified that they will be on our buses. We had done away with that a few years back, because only one child was riding a bus to and from Waterous, and it was not possible.
So, not to interrupt, sorry, I just have a quick question. So, are we gonna be doing a full bus, or we gonna do a suburban, how's that gonna work, is it more than?
It's also coming around in town. Yes. So what would happen is that, those of you that were familiar with the bus route to Waterous, he used to get there about 10 to 7, leave approximately 7 a.m. and then come pick up the kids in town. And that's exactly how this, we'd like to expand that back out, because I know I have now taken some of our kids, and that's why the numbers were dropped from out there when Jim started that route probably 8 years ago. Or even longer than that, 10 years ago. We had about 15 kids from Waterous by daily. So when it went down to 1, we had to make the tough decision. We're here to make tough decisions. We can't always be the good guy. And we have to take care of our taxpayer money. And I offered to pay all the parents in Capital Theater to meet the bus on the line. No way to be it. But if you figure out.
Just like it's funny, we just have a conference now, and we more than Mike told me that there's like 6 or 7 students that. And lighting on from those like down currently. Does White not have a bus that picks them up, or they just kind of put it on them?
They do have a bus, picks them up in our district, it's not allowed.
Is that something that we're, superintendent, we can address?
Yeah, and it's due annually. So we probably need to revisit that next month. As well, or in August, as well as our per capita leaders. Those contracts for per capitas.
Yes, we're going to communicate that to the community of Waterous, so we will be offering a bus off, and we, for those parents who are aware that we will be offering them, and then we reach out, or even if it's like a global text message or something, just so those parents are aware that this will be an option for the students.
Yes, but we can do that. Yeah. So that So what I can do is put out some flyers and we'll post them at the coffee shop, maybe on the street.
Post office.
Post office, church, attend some of those places. The community center. And I'll reach out to some of the people I know out there and get those.
Okay, thank you.
Something else we've had to do when Madam Superintendent and what came in and asked, this really resonated with me towards the beginning of the year. She said if there was anything we had to cut down, what would you do? And in taking a look at the budget, and we know numbers and students are being put drastic. One thing I do, and I have done over the last 6 years, is I drive a lot of routes to save on the costs. Something else we're doing this coming year is putting down 2 bus routes and going from 2 bus aids, from 4 bus aids to 2 bus aids. And then, looking ahead, I will talk to Madam Superintendent Sandoval to request a new activity bus. Our oldest is 2017, has well over 100,000 miles on it, and been here for children. Well, congratulations, you guys have 3 children that graduated this year. I'm so proud of your kids. So if you guys have traveled on our oldest buses, if your kids have traveled on our oldest bus, I know that it's using a lot of power going up hills and stuff like that, and it's just because it has wear and tear on lots of.
So the life expectancy is one of those that 50 buses about 100,000 miles?
No, sir, it's not according to staff. It's 20 years and it's unlimited mileage, so they don't care if it's 20, 35 miles down the road.
It's not mileage.
It's the time. Yeah. And in order to keep with our safety protocols, I feel it's in our best interest to request a new bus. I can tell you, we have 5 activity buses. And we run a bus in and out every day over time. And that's to say, we are now starting a lot more field trips. Because post-COVID, we didn't have, well, COVID, 4 years afterwards, we didn't have that many field trips. We're starting to take more field trips now. So that's imperative to note, and then we're gonna probably need some new, maintenance trucks. Our maintenance trucks are almost 8 years old. And they're getting wear and tear, and I have one engine that went out, because the budget, it sat in the box. And now, we will be taking that out, and we will have, we don't have the means in-house to replace an engine.
So what do you do with those vehicles, but like, do we offer them on?
Well, this one, because it's fairly new, doesn't have that many miles. We would like to replace the engine, it's cost effective. And the older vehicles that we have had that were inoperable, the last bus that I got, I did trade in 8 vehicles to get them off of the lot. And a lot of the vehicles, there was 3 that were non-operable. And there was the other 5 that were 1990 vehicles that needed lots of assistance. So at some point, you have to weigh what is cost effective and what's the best use of our monies.
I have 2 questions.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if it's more for you, Mrs. Dollars, or I think it's more toward address more towards, Madam Superintendent. What are we gonna do to do a better job? I know Mr. Gonzalez has mentioned it a few times in finance committee meetings. One question is, are we gonna start talking about fuel and stop using just one vendor? Because the fuel prices are so high on that particular vendor. Number 2 is how are we gonna do a better job of using the fuel card rather than just signing on tickets? Because it's part of the business department to track a lot of that stuff, and it's something that Mr. Gonzalez mentioned to you, Senegal. What are we gonna do to implement a better, we call it a better, not a policy, but something we can implement to kind of do a better job?
We have had discussions, as. uh, Or addition or follow. This, players. And then, should I getting of these full year, bring on that. Higher income area, get the reg, employees. So what we're trying to do, not only in transportation and in operation. Is to dollar. The session can
I think it would be beneficial for us, for our business, there was so much time probably to cycle through all of that, seeds and everything else. But we can help us for longer.
We're signing off on to get that there's more efficient in the way to the partner to follow the take away from that, signing off on, I think that's really what it's signing off on to get, so specifically transportation and part of.
And then my dependent on transportation, just remember it's also IT, computer, food service, maintenance, custodians.
Yeah, and that's why I got the question.
Yeah, so there's lots of us that use, the account, And I don't want to be responsible for everyone's meal tickets, and that's something else we need to look at, because I think that would be another being, not being a supervisor.
Or even administrative vehicles and stuff, so you go to sample the AC different things, absolutely, I'm no way like, directed towards even bus and very, just overall, I think a bit about it.
And we're working on it, as the matrix mentioned, we are working on it to move forward in a positive direction, that we're not getting wrong. We should. So I conclusion, the transportation department is dedicated to work closely with parents, educators, sponsors, and athletics to build strong relationships that make a real difference for our students.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, we're not-
How long did it get to get our kids food from school?
So that would be up to Mr. Mays, and what he has mentioned is kids on the west side, all parents transport them. And it will be the same for us.
If our parents will have any way, any means to get those kids to school,
You know,
have the part of headquarters. Get in, that's another year to finance. So I don't know if we're gonna have finance available to. But do their kids in school, from school.
yes, and I'm not sure how the Head Start is handling that. I believe that we have a question for the Head Start, and is Mrs. or Dr. Missouri part of the,
And that kind of.
okay. I'm not sure if we're on that committee as well, Mr.
And I mean, well,
Okay, so I would bring to that.
And part of our so. And then there. Then we're gonna have sort of.
And I don't think you can afford the kids, and that's over the last few years, just to help out our kids in the Burns Bar. We had never transported Head Start students from Roscoe. And the last couple of years, we have allowed them to go on the bus, an hour and a half in the morning, an hour and a half in the afternoon. But we have done that as well. So it was their choice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you so much.
No other questions, next item on the agenda is old business. I made overdose response policy, final reading is from.
That year was. University before. Maybe.
So,
This is Martin.
superintendent's recommendation, I actually will make the motion that we approve of the overdose response policy.
A motion by Mr. Gonzalez, do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Mr. Porter, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item B, superintendent contract.
Chairman of the board, presentation of the contract for, board. Board.
Just to be clear, this is something that's been approved, the board already voted and approved the extension, this is just the formality of document. You want an actual approval or attorney's advice for an actual approval? And all the board has this in your board packet, there's that time or any questions about this document.
We should, it's still working. It's still working. I can't. We have this discussion, it's what we're doing,
Right. Right, as well, remember the PDF also, each big burden.
That's what I think we don't. Mr. Hopefully, the next meeting.
Yeah.
I got it, they're doing, you know, nothing on the way to all figure out what you want to get on.
Yeah, that's great. So,
Um. So. Mr. South, speaker, we should go to see if we can get this done. Yeah, because it's really important that when we go in there, you get this package, there's a lot of information that they need to be. Yeah, we're working on it. Thank you. I didn't take a motion to approve the document by attorneys, it's basically the same guidelines that we approved in our previous meeting. I didn't entertain a motion to approve.
So,
A motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second.
second.
A second by Mr. Porter. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is new business discussion action, item 83.4 audit approval. I'm superintendent, you have an auditor.
Yes, we have Mr. Barlow, special needs of the audit and completion.
Superintendent, we did have a few audit plans.
Did, work at the- Mr. Barlow, can you hear us? Mr. Garner, can you hear me? You can hear me.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. I think I was on mute and didn't realize it. So what I have here is some highlights from the exit conference we had back, I believe it was in October. We had to wait for the audit to be finalized before it could be talked about in a public forum. So I just have some highlights from that presentation that we did, and I'll just get started with it. The auditing standards really haven't changed very much, and so the presentation I have is pretty much the same as what you guys have seen in the prior year. So the very first slide is talking about the responsibilities that we as auditors have to follow. The very top two screens are just regular US auditing standards. The bottom two screens relate to government auditing standards, or more commonly referred to as the Yellow Book standards. And under auditing standards, what we're hired to do is express an opinion on your financial statements. And if you look at the top red box, what that means is we give what's called reasonable assurance, because there's absolutely no way we could look at every transaction. We look at internal controls, we pick statistical samples, but we can't look at everything. And so we give, again, what we call reasonable assurance. And in our opinion, we state that the financial statements are what we call materially correct. And what that means is when we give our opinion, if you were to give your audit to a banker, there could be errors in the numbers, but the errors are not going to be significant enough to change the banker's opinion on the financial status of the district. And so that's what our responsibilities are. Under those top two boxes, under just regular US auditing standards, when it comes to internal controls, all we have to do is test one transaction from each significant cycle. So a significant cycle would be things like cash disbursements, payroll. So the New Mexico state audit rule requires us to do the Yellow Book audit because they actually want us to pick samples. And so you'll see at the bottom left, what we do when we're doing the Yellow Book audit is we actually pick samples to test those significant cycles, but we're not testing samples big enough to give an opinion on those internal controls. Additionally, the state audit rule adds about 21 items that potentially we have to look at every year. Things like travel and per diem, procurement. So in our state, that Yellow Book audit is expanded on what we have to do. If we look at the bottom right, when we're doing that testing, we are responsible for communicating what the standard set as significant matters. Well, the state audit rule kind of adjusts this too. And so with that, if we have any exceptions, whether it meets that threshold or not, we have to report that as a finding in the state of New Mexico. So those are the two standards that we followed in completing the audit. The next slide is talking about the results of the audit. And so we issued what we call an unmodified, and I put in brackets there, a clean opinion. So this is exactly the type of report that the district wants to receive. It states that the financial statements were fairly presented in accordance with the standards that we have to follow. The next slide talks about the two other reports that are ours in the financial statements. The one on the left is that Yellow Book report that we talked about earlier. Again, we don't give an opinion. We just spell out in that report what we're doing above regular auditing standards. And we did have some findings we'll talk about at the very end. And then the slide on the right, or the box on the right, is what we call the single audit. So since the district spends more than $750,000 of federal funds, you're required to do a compliance audit over those federal grants. And we did issue an unmodified opinion with no findings. So both opinions issued are exactly the type of opinions that the district wants to receive. The next required communication that I wanted to go over is difficulties encountered in performing the audit. As we were going through the audit process and we asked for supporting documents, purchase orders, personnel action forms, timesheets, all that was given to us in a timely manner, and it was in good order. So really what the communication here is just trying to let the board know when we came to do the audit, how was the organization of the accounting records? And as you can see here, we did not have any issues as we completed the audit process. The next slide relates to audit adjustments. And this is important because the board really needs to know, if you can feel comfortable with the numbers as presented to the board as you're making financial decisions, and also how the board is responsible for overseeing the budget. The budget requirements by PED and how you report to PED throughout the year is cash basis accounting. And cash basis accounting is not a part of GAAP or the generally accepted accounting principles. So what has to happen is your team has to give us adjustments to get from that cash basis accounting to the other two methodologies that we have to put in the audit report that we give an opinion on. And so really, again, the communication here is just to let the board know if we as auditors are coming in and have to make lots of adjustments. Well, the only adjustments that we had don't affect how you maintain your records throughout the year. We did not have one adjustment related to the cash basis accounting and how the board monitors your budget and how you report to PED throughout the year. So we did not have any adjustments that affects the reporting that is given to the board each month. The next two slides are very similar. If we had any disagreements with management, we'd have to let you know, and we did not have any. The next one is really kind of opinion shopping. So if management went out and consulted with another auditor or another accountant because they disagreed with us and they were trying to get a different opinion, we'd have to let you know. And again, that did not happen. The last slide is just talking about the findings. The very first finding is cash management. It's one that's kind of come and gone. At the end of the year, the general fund, in essence, had to lend out money to other funds because when you have your grant funds, you spend the money first and then you get a reimbursement from PED. Well, at the end of the year, at June 30th, the general fund didn't have enough money to loan out to others, so it was $145,000. So what happened was, in essence, we had to do a borrowing from the debt service fund, which is actually a violation of state law. And so at the end of the year, the general fund ended up with a negative $145,000 of cash. I went and looked at the RFRs that were due to you from PED. And at year end, there was about $1.5 million. So, part of this is due to the timing of getting those funds back and getting receipts. So by the time you got the reimbursements from the PED, those that $145,000 is more than covered with the reimbursements that were received from the state. The next one is a prior period adjustment. During our testing, it was brought to our attention that there were employees that had been classified as part-time, but in fact were actually not part-time employees. Therefore, the district is going to have to reimburse ERB for both the employee and the employer's portion for those employees' past contributions that should have been made to ERB. And as a result, it affected prior periods. And the estimate we had was, I think, about $600,000 that had to, beginning balances to your equity had to be adjusted. And so it was a material error to prior years. So that had to be recorded. The last finding deals with take-home vehicles. During our testing, there was one vehicle that was taken home. The district does have a policy that it is allowed, but it has to get properly approved. And we could not obtain any evidence that it was done, that it was properly approved. So therefore, it was a violation of district policies. And then additionally, that employee should have had some withholdings for the take-home vehicle, and that should have been as a deduction on the W-2s and their paychecks, and that wasn't done. So it was also a violation of IRS law by not withholding the proper amounts. With that, I'll open up to any questions.
Mr. Gardner, I have a couple of questions. This is Mike. I see that the first finding is the cash management. And this is something that's been reoccurring, I guess, for several years, it looks like.
Yes, it's been off and on. At one point, a few years ago, it was consistently happening every year. I know over the last 3-4 years, there's been a lot of emphasis on trying to get the RFRs submitted more timely to PED so that this wouldn't happen at year end. Unfortunately, part of this is you're at the mercy of PED getting those RFRs reimbursed to you in a timely manner. But yes, this has been an issue off and on over the last several years.
Then on the last finding, the third one, on the take-home vehicles, you said this needed to be deducted from the W-2 of this individual. So is this something that we need to go back and amend this employee's previous W-2s and ask for reimbursement, or is this something that we can leave the W-2s as long as they're reimbursed?
So yes, I think it probably is something that you need to go back and do an amended W-2 to correct that and properly reflect it to the IRS.
Yes.
The second finding, with the $600,000 adjustment, you are being put several, all of them. Is that the one that we discussed before that we were not going our benefit package, temporary benefit package?
Yes, we had about 19 employees that were never still the ERB. So the districts will be, as Mr. Berger mentioned, will be paying the employer and employee contribution for penalty. That is not, that hasn't been completed this school year, fortunately. So, Ms. Boss will be taking on that task and we'll be looking, we're we're looking at probably not 650,000, so we estimated it went lower, but, from the West.
So do we, obviously, we know the amount that we owe on the employer, the employee side, but we know what the penalty is, to allow them to move them together. That's what I'm guessing right now. How far back did this go on this amount of employees that you stated?
Believe it, we were in 15 years, about 15 years over from this one.
So 13 years if we were not getting benefits, that's what employees were, should have been. So Mr. Gardner, I have a question for you. So you've been our auditor for numerous years. How is this something that was found before?
No, it's something we did not find. We saw documentation in files that these were substitutes. And we thought they were validly being excluded. I think one of your employees went to training and determined that the classification as a substitute was incorrect. And based upon ERB rules, they shouldn't have been excluded.
So one of our employees, basically, misunderstood how that substitution was and gave false information in return. And now we're going backwards and years and paying them to the insurance company.
If I think I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying that it went back quite a few years and that there was a misinterpretation of what those employees were classified as, and the answer is yes, they were improperly classified.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gardner. Does the board have any other questions for Mr. Gardner? Madam Superintendent, do you have anything else to add to the audit?
Certainly recommended.
The recommendation, Ms. Sandoval, the motion on that recommendation?
On our recommendation, I'll make a motion that we approve the 2023-2024 audit.
I have a motion by Mr. Gonzalez. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Mr. Cordova. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Gardner.
He's good. And I just want to express my thanks. He has been in the district for several years. This is his last year with us. This person, I can thank you, Mr. Gardner, for all the work that you did and provided.
Thank you so much. I appreciate Mr. Chairman, board members, and Superintendent Sandoval. I enjoyed working with the district and appreciate the time together. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item B, bus contract.
So we have one bus contractor that hadn't signed his contract. Ms. Sandoval, were you able to- I'm sorry, that's yeah, okay. So. Okay. So we'll be presenting it and it'll be for 3 bus routes. And as I mentioned before, we've had to cut some routes, consolidate some more. And our bus contract, we will have 3 routes. It's us.
Do we have a plan B just in case the bus contract is not agreed with this contract?
Plan B is. We figured it out. So what we would do is I do have a bus aide who was training as a driver. And she's willing to take on a route. You guys hired David to be your athletic coordinator, so he makes a route like the rest of it. And yeah. We have a plan B, it may mean that a lot of us are going to be taking on the walk over.
Have you seen, I know we're not technically on that, we're talking about bus contract, but I got word today, from the board member must have stated that they just increased, their route drivers, to basically, I don't know if Matt will go a little bit above us. We lost one driver to do this, you know?
So we have not lost priority, because they are at a higher rate. It does help that we can train our own drivers in-house. And I do have a local person who will also, he's an examiner, which is really nice. One of our gals went to him and said, having to drive all the way to South Bay. So that's very beneficial, and to my knowledge, no one else is looking to move. I know several years ago, we had asked, when they went up to like $32 an hour, and all the this. And all I said is, hopefully those that like their job working for the city school, that we treat them fair, and we do things on rotation, we don't play favorites, and I still hope the loyalty lies with us.
Thank you. This is your
Earlier, you said that we were creating a less age with Florida.
Correct.
Second, jeopardizing safety of our students.
It will not, so what I have done is change the routes to where the students instead need the aids. And I have also reduced some of the routes. We had 2 buses going down to the same streets, and I've had to consolidate those. And there's a lot of new workings in Chisel that we've been doing with our bus routes. And I have to be very resilient and think out of the box since COVID. So I learned how to adapt.
And then it's been mentioned. You 16. She is the mastermind behind all of this. The rest would be on double routes, so looking at timing and making those adjustments, and this was another area that that's some.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, what's your recommendation?
I recommend that the the initial gets two routes, because they agree with the objection.
On the recommendation of the motion, that we approve this, contract.
Second.
A motion and a second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Rose. Next item on the agenda is item C, Memorial Middle School fence. Ms. Bell.
Mr. Chair, members, I recommend you ratification to this one, because we were on a line to draw down $1.5 million. We were able to pay for Mr. Chris was able to get a contract for us to turn around to be our putting in these perimeter fence from Memorial School that would not be affected with new construction. So we are recommending this having above the construction. We ratify the already of the project. They are they are state agencies, so
What's the location of this fence? What's the location of this fence on the Memorial School?
It's gonna be the whole perimeter, 13 acres around the whole. It's gonna be, it's 1,260 feet north and south, and 1,360 feet east and west. Linear feet of fence, and the wrought iron is gonna be east west. Chaining is gonna be north south.
So on Cinder and National will be the national, on the wrought iron, and then on the boundaries between the alley and the other property area.
Yes. And we already have on that area. We're gonna do some modification to it, to add higher tunnels to it, to Because there was only a 5 foot fence, and then we had to remove every 5 foot in between, to get 10 foot panels. 6 foot, 10 foot, 6 foot, 10 foot, panels, well, there.
Do you think this is a good idea to start with it being that we deal with so much vandalism?
Yes. That's one of the biggest problems we do have at that facility, that school site right there, the vandalism, four-wheelers on the field. Multiple, massive damage, like, because we're always getting people out of there, and so it's under the bleachers, we have to get out of there. But I can hear keys here, multiple times, broken windows, overnight. These officers are doing it, so it's gonna help out a lot, especially with locking gates and automatic gates. So we can lock in like that.
Awesome. This is part of the $1,500 that was allocated to memorials for the use. Any other questions for Mr. Archuleta?
What's the cost of the? Lots of them, about 290,000. And would this have been the cheapest? Yes. So, yeah, or cheaper. Now, my understanding from people counting this particular company likes to give you a quote and X amount of dollars, and then at the end, you give you a bill of X amount of dollars plus. So do we have any parameters or change of it? We did have changes, having solar gate operators. Instead of running power to it from the store one thing to all the way up back to the building, because the building is gonna be demolished, we're not gonna have power there, so the solar. Yeah. But we're really gonna parameters for changeovers, and we don't expect the budget for a bigger deal? Not really anything to do right now. But there's something big brought to my attention, other than the gate operators, that they want to do about locking gates, everything's all included.
And I think we build in contingency moving forward. I don't know if we do it on this, I know it's something you guys can address, but typically on contracts with contractors, we build in a contingency with the contractor. And so if there is any overrun or anything that contingency already built in, the overall contract is already approved. That's something that we can look into, because I know for another project, like Mr. Merrill, I don't remember exactly what it was, the answer, big overages, I don't know if it was Honeywell or something. Yeah, so we really hold, and we don't have it right now, but maybe we could hold them, manual welding to the table and just tell them this is what your contract states, if you're gonna go over, it must be approved, of course.
Yeah, I kind of want to keep it back there too, where it's at, because I mean, it opens the door for more. They can just come in and just grow with another guys.
Right.
So that, change orders, I'm really good. My favorite, because it's.
And it shouldn't be any change other than that's adding a scope of work to it, not adding scope of work, when they need to pull the price, even if materials go up, that's the nature of the business, being around the contract themselves, you have to do it sometimes.
Yeah.
So we just gotta do a good job of this for the state.
Yeah, overages we can. You say our district money, but I just know, to me, change orders, give us a price that expect you to stay within that price. 5% okay, we have 15%, not okay with it.
Yes, Mr. Brown.
I'd like to make a motion to table this until we can get the language to the table to talk about this change or language and each other.
I have a motion by Mr. Brown. Do I have a second? I'll second it for just for discussion purposes. Being that there's a second, we can discuss this. Mr. Miller, you'd like to get the manual to, get this on contract. What's your contract state right now?
Well, right now, as I said, we are on timeline, so this project, is set to be, done by June 30th. That is when our funding does expire, so that was not like that we were given. So change order, there is not basically at this point in time. What we contracted for is that specific B raising, wrought iron to the 6 feet. So we, by tabling this, and then again, the work is being done. I would say that no change order should be approved with this,
So can we say that if we were to, if the board was to, approve this contract, this ratification, we would not be approving any change orders. If there was any change orders, then they would have to come in front of the board, and at that time, the board would have to approve before the work is done. That's something that you're okay with, Mr. Bowman? I'd like to make a motion that we approve,
Your question.
well, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign, aye. Motion goes. I'd like to make a motion that we approve, Magna Welding Construction for the fencing project at the Old Memorial School site. Have a motion, you have a second?
The motion to ratify.
I'm sorry, a motion to ratify the Magna, Welding contract and fence at the location of Old Memorial School. I have a motion myself, I have a second, as well. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you for, please, let Ms. Sandoval know if you're going to go over the anything. If that contract that we need to stick on to, but
It was that we made communicating about. Almost every day on that.
thank you. Okay, here's the next one. Item D, Honeywell, next item on the agenda is item D, Honeywell Building Performance Service. Mr. Phil.
So I've been in contact with Mr. Montaño multiple times, asking him multiple questions about on how his contract works and how fast he could get here. Like for winter time, if the heaters go down on that system, to get a timeline of when they would be here. And actually talked to him this morning too, and he says everything is timed out from the minute I call to the minute the technician gets here. The work is done, it's all documented and given to us within that, and their timeline is between 4 hours, 5 hours getting here.
So that was on call for 4 to 5 hours that they would have to be at the site.
Yes, you have to prevent any damage because like we have multiple damage on that field house. And that gym, mine is protecting the floor, protecting the staff, students, fire line. Anything that could be damaged by the freezing pipes or the septic heat.
I have one question after reviewing that in our board packet is, I saw that they put an escalator in that, and in the previous contract, and I believe the first one was, correct me if I'm wrong, 32,000, second, like 34, and then now an escalator, it looks like 36. And this, I was reading it, I looked at it, and it had filters and belts. I didn't see a whole lot of context in there that showed anything else. Is this something, being that you've been in the district so long and you're kind of familiar with everything else with HVAC system, do you think this is a fair fight for our district and our taxpayer money for this $32,000, being that it's belts and filters?
I think it's a fair price to the point where I asked them about CO2 sensor, which costs it, I think that cost me like $9,000. And I told them all that stuff was covered in there. Fully felt or one of the main problems with that system right there, just the ways they're buying it's the bad design. But I didn't figure well to touch metal, or should, and I told them, as long as all that's covered, CO2 sensors. Down in the gym area, all the sensors, if we get hit with the ball, that's covered. So I did, I'm not really too much like advanced with the price increase. I really, I was hoping that it was just gonna kind of stay the same, you know, art school, they say art school. And then the price increase, I think something that I hopefully be able to negotiate with them, try and keep it within the same ballpark.
And if we do, Mr. Director, you have to call Honeywell to do a service for whatever reason it is, whether it's a filter or pulley or a belt. This contract of service that we're not gonna have to pay anything above like a service call announcement says there or anything.
What he told me is that everything was covered. I told him, I just need to make sure, this is my board, and the superintendent, that everything is covered through this agreement before we sign it. And I'm still going to communicate with them more to make sure that everything is right, because I have their questions every time I call. Just anything that can break on electrical, controllers. It's a whole new system that very digital, very.
And just like Mr. Rivera said on the last one, last contract, is we worry about the fine little stuff in there. I know it's electronic, but on also the contract, I know previous contracts that we had, not a lot of service, warranty work, stuff like that. I think that's something that we really need to look at. I don't know if December, if we have time to really accept this, warranty to see what are all covered, because I gotta have a piece of paper that it be verbal.
Yes.
Recommendation, director, we actually spent quite a bit of time this year trying to get these contracts, for these particular units. And part of the concern that we feel is the number of your programs.
Yeah, that's right.
And the concern that running on that way, to be, going out, so.
Because I was there and I say a question too. Obviously, there's no review to the big units and everything, and so then they put it in there. All the comments that they are proposing to the P and N, that everything is covered and then everything comes back up. With one little spike, and it will, so in that little controller that we will never run again.
How are these units working right now?
They're working pretty decent, and have to modify them a little bit just to get them on with graduation.
Good.
And everything will be by the second one. Yeah, I mean. Yes.
That's been fixed since.
Yeah,
Is that under warranty as of right now?
I think it is. I have a really good warranty on that one. I'm in charge of that. But I'm pretty sure that it is covered under warranty, and I'll let it come apart about it to make sure that it is covered. Like I said, it's just built into the equipment, being such big units and stuff. And you know, just the balance and steering with that comes to just a little spike of that comes a static spike. And then the digital stuff.
My whole thing is like, we spent over $1 million on this, HVAC package, so I guess $32,000, and it's not a lot. I don't know what the board, you guys can.
You guys spend a lot of time working on these units, an hourly kind of time consuming. Not really, I'm making an effort to get up there on the road, probably every other day, just to check the unit, to make sure that it's running properly, because we do have a last long. They were at the bottom there now. Pretty soon we're gonna be doing the plans, make sure that we have right temperature and people that upset. So I do get up there with different invitations, I'll check it, make sure we know the belts, because I can see the belt. Look at the power, I can see the belt, it's out. I will say, graduation was out by one of the top last week, so it was a lot for this year, so thank you for, just see that you're really. But when we forward out there in the morning, it was nice, everything was good, it's hard to get it. And just trying to figure out how to get it, found out, figured it out, got it, we started the second unit. Oh, okay, we're already winding down, and it's pretty cool, really know, thank you for your effort. Yeah, it should be, keep it at a constant temperature, and even while we can have a short or people at should go in. Answers are down on the floor.
I have a question, Madam Superintendent. This annual performance contract, is this anything, are we done with the litigation? Or mediation that every all that going on, is this gonna be any kind of conflict?
No, in fact, that's one of the reasons why we have not been, given contract, because we were in litigation that was settled in November, December. You know, and then my recommendation that we do, you know, we can continue to negotiate. And they require that to be still.
Sure.
Mr. Colon.
Sure, so, as we usually are, he's going up there, doing to come out.
Yeah, it's just part of my, I figured that I do that. Because I wanted to go down, and they said that there's the students, staff on there. And I wanted to be comfortable for them to not, they said that they.
We got to
Great amount of money for these.
you should have to do,
Yes,
that's what should be on the line too, we are, I'm a friend, we should be working,
yes.
hopefully this contract can take care of that.
Yeah, it's a question, and I'm involved every day on it. If there's an issue with it, I'm gonna call. I'm gonna make sure that they get here to resolve the problem instead of waiting for them.
Yeah.
Because in the winter time, we have from 12 to 6 in the morning, we can have everything to go to. Just don't want.
And you don't even be able to work in fiction.
Yes.
Madam Superintendent, your recommendation is to approve.
Yes.
On that recommendation, do I have a motion to approve?
Make one, that we approve this, Any walk permit service contract?
A motion by Mr. Gonzalez, do I have a second?
Okay.
A second by Mr. Porterville. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next item on the agenda is item E, 2526, special education application. Go.
Good evening, superintendents on the bottom. You're going to be found with the board. Mark Trujillo, Director of Special Education, alongside our coordinator, Lynn Martinez. We're here this evening to advise you that any of the budget has been submitted and has been substantially approved via a unified app. This year was a different interface we had to submit. However, we did receive notice that that was substantially approved pending court approvals and assurances. So as I do every year, of course, I will take any questions, but I would like to go ahead and just read off the assurance statement because that is a requirement. Maybe have to start with this. Read the assurance statement for the first time.
Special education statement, local education agency is eligible for within the Department of Education Act. IDEA for this fiscal year, a because plan that provides assurances to state education agencies that the LEA meets each of the conditions in 34 Code Federal Regulations 300.201 through 300.213, including that it has implemented policies and procedures that are consistent with the state's policies and procedures established through 300.101 to 300.63. 165 to 300.17. Authority U.S.C. 1413 A 34 for the federal regulations 300.2. Las Vegas City Schools assured that it has conducted an annual review of board policies and procedures governing special education. The district assures that it has in effect policies and procedures that are consistent with the state's policies and procedures established under 300.101 through 300.163 and 300.165 through 300.174. The district further assures that throughout the period of the grant report, the district will comply with the requirements of the IDEA B subpart C local education agency intelligence.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, recommendation.
Any further questions? None. As superintendent recommendation is approved. Anything looking that we approve this application?
We'll make a motion that we approve the 2025-2026 special education application.
I will motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second. Second by Mr. Porterville. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Continues.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is item F, review board policy during special education review of procedures and adopt assurance statement. Go.
Yeah.
Yes, the loss matters, senior procedures manual, Submitted, it is a 494 page document. And the changes for this year are mostly leagues or that sort, nothing major. But anything that is major changes that would be reflected would be in our internal policies and procedure. So FYI for this year, we will have to add in a section to support the gifted initiative a little bit more because the regulations are changing. I did send you guys each the actual document, but as I mentioned, it is almost 500 pages. So didn't send me it was not very questions.
This is, discussion on. This is. Anything else to add? Any questions or?
No, sir, we recommend approval. The, document that has been verified.
On recommendation, Madam Superintendent, we make a motion for you approve the policy governing special education. And then document prepared, all favors?
I have a motion by Mr. Gonzalez. Have a second? All second? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next item on the agenda is item D, board election resolution.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, in packets, the board resolution, that will go to the board in the county clerk. By July 7th, so I have a resolution for the board election. So we do need this evening, again, it's the proclamation, and the resolution, and well, more than county, and it's in Spanish and English.
What's the deadline on that?
We need to get one, July 6th.
It's the two seats, Mike Lee and Mr. So, your recommendation,
Make a motion that we approve the board election resolution.
a motion by Mr. Romero, one second,
Second.
second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is item H, farm, memorial, or Longo, Romero, and Marcus Espinosa.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I have good news to you this evening. And give your PNC recommendation how we hire her to recent all graduates. There have been some recommendation and perhaps their jerseys be gifted to parents. Memorial for the students to be presented to them. Personal district. I ask for your opinions, suggestions, to have you. Really a big honor for me.
Yes, sir.
Give it to the down. I think also on the fact, maybe, their jersey, in a frame at the back. It's memorial of our team of students will be presenting to the family. We have to also listen to the ways to show our appreciation.
When we said the jersey, when you mentioned the jersey, the football, you both with the
Correct. Yeah, football really, since people know the football players. I think something like that would be really good for the college and
and I know the board, we have the board and the superintendent's office, we did send the flowers to both times, but.
We did, and one of the week work. Through those.
But yeah,
We can reach out to the yeah,
I'm maybe gonna be throwing out dollars for them. You're.
somehow together. Try to get everything back to life.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is, we have policy advisories, we have, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we have 7 policies. I know we can get these with consent, and Mr. Gonzalez, we have a question about item N. Policy advisory 267, I know there's 2 alternatives, or options, if you will. On the cell phone use in the district, what was your recommendation on which option?
So, Mr. Chair, members of the board, we do have place by, sort of, I am partial in the development, alternative 2, for the 267, and the reason being that it externally states, what the wireless communication device, if it has covered within the policy, and I just want to read, that particular statement. It states that as within the policy, wireless communication device may be portable electronic device capable of transmitting voice, text, or data, including but not limited to a cellular phone, smartphone, or smartwatch, tablet, computer, laptop, computer, or gaming device. And then the policy continues to express that it can be utilized for instructional purposes and so on. That is the discretion of our administration and the procedure that is set forth within our policy handbooks. But this one is more specific, what you're looking for. Therefore, I would recommend that form and next read that's the second option be approved.
So we're approving it as it is, and then on the second meeting, next month, we be specifically stating that,
Yes.
Any specific behavior?
We can, because like I said, we have to actually, of course, first reading, but for final reading,
President, I'd like to make a motion that we accept. Item I through O as the first reading, with the exception of M, making sure that we don't know that we are picking out complete.
okay, right, 69,
excuse me, for, hold on 1 second. I have a motion by Mr. Romero on the floor.
Oh, we already have a second, so we can go okay.
I can make it. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Second.
sorry, so for right, 69, this is not to provide some guidance, within our handbooks. But we did draft, and this is a document that we want to present. That was one policy that we embedded into our policy and into the handbooks. And again, that's a student marketing experience that also needs to be a recommendation for
So can we call that, can you call this a first reading for that one, since we're not putting all that in?
So we still, I have a motion on the floor, Mr. Romero, I have a second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor? Go ahead.
I was thinking, I know we have a self-enforcement in place, and I know, I believe our principals and teachers have a hard time enforcing that policy. Do we have a plan in place to start enforcing this? I know other school districts have either lockers or pouches or baskets or some way to remove devices. Do we have a plan to go to your principals on how we are going to enforce? Because now this is taken out of it, you know, it's not just a local in district policy. This is now, right?
the state law. We do have some plans where not really specific. Timing, however, please will give we will be reinstituting, if you will, the in-school infection protection. We will have to our matrix and our matrix and make those adjustments within. Once all of our advocacy will be to the other key is any policy or any procedure that communication. So we will be communicating, not only this policy, but others that, come to the law friends, over the course of the year, going through the legislation, as being part of the communication. The expectation of the communication.
And I do think it's important that we communicate this to our parents as well. Because I know, you know, a lot of time parents, well, my son or daughter needs their phone because of X, Y. We have to make sure to communicate it to our parents, and this is, it's not just our rule, it's the law, and so our parents can't come and tell us. X, Y, Z, and we just want to make sure that everybody is in the loop and informed on the situation.
And in addition, to this, would be expectation of the modeling of our staff. Just, you know,
I was just gonna say that,
then we should have our students in the classrooms. So, that.
I think definitely needs to enforce not only on the students, but our staff, but our teachers. You know, we've had off with school a couple of times and had some numerous teachers on the phone. So I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Romero, I have a second by Mr. Gonzalez, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries, thank you. Next item on the agenda is student report, we do not have student agenda for, Madam Superintendent, you did mention that there was one that was our student council.
Yes, there has been a recommendation, the student representative. She has reached out to me, Justin, and I remember about. Yeah. So, she has reached out, and has, already kind of coordinated and reached out to Judge Ledger, to men, and design the induction, if you will. So.
No, definitely. Nothing was like an election, no?
That's how we do it in the past. Like, yeah.
They have the student council.
City council. And she was the one.
And, I don't know if she wants to start this from school year first, because then I'm gonna pull out on July, maybe we can do this on the agenda for August. We're supposed to do. Yeah. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is superintendent report, Superintendent.
And we do have our final meeting this Thursday, which is really next up. Yeah, so committee members, present here in the boardroom, that will be our budget meeting cycle. With regards to our candidates meeting, Saturday, we were able to present our case for the language change for a revision to the award language for the Seattle Vista project. We were unanimously approved by the commission. So we do have a language change that doesn't include Memorial Middle School. What that entails is it will include at this point we're looking at a structure of approximately 77,000 square feet that will be erected. That is approximately $4 million for student projects. Moving forward, we will terminate the contract with the Philippines. We were working on the design for Seattle and will be we will then put out a RFP for the design phase, And, this will process will take anywhere between 9 to 12 months. Or at that point, we will go before the commission for phase 2, which will be the construction phase, and this request a waiver for the amendments. At this point, that was, the applications for waiver. We did, share with the commission and it's that the district, currently has, $6.5 million to, provide our share to this project, however, we do not need full allocation of the, 47%. The will be and, you know, the beginning of the Bay and, basically, you know, you get that first day, you know, very likely that the phase, you're investing in that project. So again, what we're looking at is to ensure of 76,365 square feet at an estimated amount of and then of course the demolition costs will be added on to that. So within the next three to 4 years, we will have a new consolidated campus with CIP site. So that is what we highlighted. The one thing that I do want to clarify is when there was communication out of the community with regards to the reductions that we've been making within our general budget, and there's not you're reducing here, but you're adding construction projects. Two very different costs of money. We have the GEO bonds that support maintenance and construction. That is going to be utilizing the bonds that are voted by the public. That's what is already been earmarked for CIP. And that is what is going to be dedicated to this particular fund. The reduction on SEG is due to membership loss of enrollment. So the $1.1 million that we've been talking about in the last 4 months has been a reduction to the general operating fund non-CEG. Two different measures you hear that correct that understanding. Since it is that the Forest Service, they are continuing to move forward with the interest and fairly, I guess, similar to other organizations. With some accounting and some changes that we made, Ms. Vanessa Gonzalez, of course, taking over the business manager position, which that position as payroll benefits. We did also coming, that would be effective July 1, for 1 year. This is budgeted at a lower cost than what's the actual position budgeted for. So we have some cost there. We also are contracting for internship. Transition a newish business manager. She does have some experience under development to ensure that we have a great transition to contract with Cape County. And then as a result of the recent employee we needed to also go from fill that position to support the both the role for the school year. So that was K-12 County. We continue to work on the 25-26 budget. We want to various questions. continuing with the one benefits role, as well as carry the business manager position. And the assistant business manager position actually works. Days, hours. To work. Legitimately as we turned the tracker very quickly, very aggressive working. You know, we say thank you. In addition to budget, federal state reduction. Reduction for issue budget and approval were made, so we continue to reduce in our budget and trying to really look at using getting from your position or not the position of individual that right. See, two additional grants to have school and grant and we brought more so we university to be able to work that program that I don't want that were there was one a reduction that we have to make for this we also see work in which we feel like we're ready to start $100 education and dedicated more to work-based learning for students. So those dollars to the community for the district. Partner with that is strategy related they work to they invited of course to go be in production of the public school. And this is mostly funded through their education. And then lastly, we can fill almost all of our positions. Coaching position today, and people over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Pretty well paid.
Once you state that you have your outsourcing or contracting somewhere in the business fund, that's in the district.
Yes, I mentioned in the payroll and benefits side. Yeah, any benefits. We are paid a little bit more on the mentorship side. Process, the person, some the within that already. So that's pretty much what I first.
Is this something better to have? I know other businesses, I have, we outsource a lot of this, it's so critical, so we get another set of items and stuff like this. It's something that gives us another look at things to help. This is also, they have something, you're kind of like, if you will, an internal auditor. So we call it, this kind of something that.
Yes. The significant benefit to us and the market they've been able to attend to the second person of funding on the budget and internal.
Yeah, now I think you mentioned, I think, given the the situations that the district has dealt with not only the ERB, payroll side, but some cash management, RMRs. That some of those business operations are, critical to the operation of the district. I think bringing someone from the outside in to assist with that, again, you do get another set of eyes, and this is a CPA firm. K-12 schools, that's their business, what they do, they have their biggest schools, Alamo public schools, and then they have, charter schools as well. So to be able to bring them in, again, just for even that second set of eyes and making sure things are done on time and done correctly and up to date with the current regulations, laws, and everything else, we do have that, security. And so, and Superintendent Campbell said that he, just within these last couple of weeks, getting the assistance, probably within the last, maybe 10 days, even without the assistant manager, role, we've been able to catch up on a lot of different, reportings and, things that just haven't been completed around tech, and 9,000 in the school year, and so to have that outside professional services look, in on it, and, very, expensive to happen again, it costs, less than what we get. And if you have any questions or anything about them, then you can also look them up. And I want to mention in the training, as well, for the business department. It also assists with audits and bonds, and there's a whole lot that we've looked at just in the last 2 weeks trying to just wrap our heads around the issue.
Ms. Campbell, you mentioned, thank you, Mr. Bell. I know you mentioned, you touched on it a little bit about the kind of funding of the new construction, if you will, of the overgoing middle school site. The shortfall we have in our budget, it has nothing to do with the construction. This is 2 different fundings, 2 different allocations, 2 different areas, correct? Okay, I just want to make sure that's clear and it's out there, that has nothing to do with one or the other.
Yes, 2 different funding streams, and revenues of them different sources. So construction is farm, and it's a lower. Whether it's energy or and then energy, our general breathing budget, your generated membership.
And if I'm correct, we do have to go up on this upcoming election.
We think that energy, so we'll be bringing that, with the board, in July.
We have insurance and taxes and not local.
Taxes will not love it, just be, the, for right now, it keeps us at point to where, I think it should be the qualification for, yeah, the way the opportunities, will do such as this, we hope that they can communicate well to the community that require, increase the taxes that maintain.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the cycle, they will be helping us to get that out in the community, to give them the information that we are not, property taxes will not increase due to this.
So people will provide us the information, but it's our responsibility to create the marketing, if you will, the information out.
Well, the verbiage will be there. One last thing, I just want to thank you, Superintendent Campbell, for all your experience and leadership, pushing this one. Obviously, Sarah Lisa, we've got to shift. And I know there's a lot of legwork, a lot of language, a lot of conversations we have to have to make this happen. And I've heard from several members of the community who are really excited about this, really, the fact that this is actually moving forward. And again, I think communication, as soon as we can get it out there, there is clarification that this is phase 1, there is phase 2, so that there has been a lot of miscommunication in our community. And it'd be great to be able to clarify from our perspective so that we understand the process. And again, the funding source will help the steps that are going to take place. But again, thank you for all your work. I know it took a lot of hours for you to get this. And get this moving forward. It's going to be a great benefit for our community.
Be most funded by the same, so we have a it's formally not budgeted in. So it's not really, you know, it's a win-win for the community. This is something that serves the generation of individuals from us.
So,
Just,
Madam Superintendent, can we start to have a superintendent slash capital board or capital report that's not just so we know, and the public knows what construction are going on? You can have that in file, for that.
Yeah, exactly that.
and yeah, Mr. Roberts is a good point, but who's gonna do that capital outlay? I know staff has changed and stuff now, I still don't know who's positions yet, but who's gonna be doing that capital outlay?
And
You.
so I'll be working with Mr. Archibald. Head office, yeah. Right.
And then you did mention that there's gonna be a meeting with an audit, coming up, Mr. Rose on that audit committee, and Mr. Quirk, all of Mr. Moss.
Is there a Zoom meeting for that? Is there a Zoom meeting?
Yes. We'll look at it, we'll be here, you know, it'll be, what was it?
No other questions? Thank you, next, thank you.
One more question. Don't know if I didn't hear it, the demolition. Is the state still funding that or not?
Yeah, that would be good, they're gonna fund 100% of the cities. And the one thing that, I know you talked about trying to keep the gym, but we're having some issues with our gym with the floor, with the groundwater. Water was come up, so we need to create a new school, and keeping that old gym, even if we're having issues with better, to recreate the whole. You know, schematics, if you will, and then lifting probably the whole place. So that's something that the architect and engineer want to discuss.
That's part of that first phase, what we're going to keep in and do the review of that, and see what they initially said when they first came in, what they you have to be elevated, do some types, some sort of regulation. All of that will be.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Next item on the agenda is executive session. A motion by Mr. Romero, second. A second by Mr. Gonzalez. Roll call please.
Remember this, you have?
Yes.
Remember you know?
Yeah.
Or Secretary, Dr. Jason Reserve, or Vice President Paul Gonzalez.
Yes.
Or President Matthew Dunn.
Yes. Board of Education will convene in closed session to discuss the NSA 1978, section 1015(1)(h). 7, discussion of vendor pending litigation. The Board of Education will convene in closed session to discuss the NSA 1978, section 1015(1)(h). 2, discuss the limited personal comments.